Khanage, episode 2. Welcome back. Got a couple of cracking guests. So I say let's get into it straight away. Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a treat, an absolute treat of a show. First and foremost, welcome back to Khanage, episode 2. Feels like I've been doing this for years. I'm a pro now. I've got a show lined up today with two of my buddies. They don't need an introduction, but we've got Rory repping Chelsea. Rory, how you doing, my man?
It's an honour to be here, Grizz. Thank you.
Oh, mate, it's an honour for having you, mate. Honestly, it's brilliant. I'm so nervous. This is mad. But we go, and many of you will know my main man, Buvey. Repping Man City. How you doing, Boobs?
Not too bad.
Boobs, it's mad because people think me and you like literally hate each other. Like it's a mad feeling that people think that we're having digs at each other, but people don't know that me and you. We go back 3 years now, like 2017. We done the Man City preview, Charity Shield, I think it was. Do you remember?
Yeah, hate's a strong word, mate. Hate's a strong word.
Hate is a very strong word, man. We bounce off each other. Is that fair? Is that a fair way of saying it? I think we bounce.
I think so. Yeah, I've always maintained that football's not serious. We're not footballers ourselves, and if we pretend to be anything other than just people that have an opinion, then that's all we are anyway. So you might as well have a bit of fun with it.
Absolutely. And, again, to the guys that I really look up to in terms of fan media, I mean, Rory, there's not a channel, there's not a radio station that he's not fucking on. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows Rory. But how you getting on, Rory? Busy man, I know.
Oh, really good, mate. Really, all feels good. Excited about the season. I thought England were good last night. And yeah. I'm on the second episode. Didn't quite make it onto the first episode of Khanage, but I'm on the second one, so I'll take that.
It was the first. What a load of rubbish.
Well, you guys are busy people. I've been messaging.
No. It's not about being busy. I wasn't asked, mate. I definitely wasn't. It wasn't about being busy. I wasn't asked.
No, 100% you were.
Who was on the first episode?
We'll move on. But it was Rants, and there was a reason behind Rants because he got me into the sort of industry, so to speak.
Okay.
So that's why.
That's
the only reason. But look,
we start with the Man United fans. That says a lot, doesn't it, Grizz?
First and foremost, it's easy, innit, Booths? We can just chat shit about them, get them out of the way. Do you know what I mean? This is the real deal. We're talking, City and Chelsea. We're talking Premier League title challenges 2021. But first and foremost, we're gonna get onto that. But first and foremost, guys, have you guys ordered or received your PS5s?
No, Grizz, I'm an adult.
This is mad. I was so happy to get you guys on board because everywhere on social media, everyone's talking about PlayStation 5s and then waiting at their doorsteps like Deliveroo or Uber Delivery that's going to give them their PS5s. What's going on? Adults. I'm talking adults, people.
I don't get it. I'm in a couple of WhatsApp groups and they're all going mad about PS5s. Somebody's ordered one from, I don't know, a particular store, Curry's or somewhere, and they've run out and he's livid because he had it on pre-order. Geezer's married with a child. Like, what are you doing?
It's insane. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Buvey, if you're into.
I'm definitely into gaming.
I love the art form of a video game that's well made. I love obviously social games like FIFA, Call of Duty. My issue is that if I started playing it, I wouldn't have time to do what I wanted to do in life. I saw my PS4 as soon as I moved to London. There's just no time in the day.
What do you want to do in life?
Just
chat gas with you guys on podcasts, mate. Hopefully get
best
paid
way,
for it.
Isn't it? And get paid for it. It's the best way. Do you know one thing about what I love about us, and I'm going to include you guys in this, right? Because we've done enough shows on 90 minutes, big up 90 minutes as well. It's like we really say how we feel, like, and we're like this off the screen as well. We don't hold back with our opinions. Like, even though we're mates, we'll slag we'll slag each other off, no problem. We just give our opinions and off we go. We don't claim to be right all the time. Okay, I'll speak for myself now here when I say this bit. You know, I hold my hands up when I'm wrong. Used to have slight issues with that, I know, from chatting to you in the bar. But we see how it goes today. First and foremost, I think we're all glad that the international break's over, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They're always fairly torturous affairs compared to what we get with the Premier League. But it felt awful, this one. It felt like it came at a really bad time. And it felt like it went on forever. I think England have been in tournaments for less time than this international break lasted.
It's, I mean, I don't know how your respective clubs have sort of been dealt in this international break in terms of injuries and COVID. Any issues with you guys? Because I don't want to talk about mine because it's going to get depressing. But so I'd rather talk about other people's issues and dramas in their clubs. Anyone know of any dramas issues?
I'm not sure about Chelsea, but Man City, I think we're quite lucky. I think Aguero's back, close to fitness. I think De Bruyne got through both Belgian games. Obviously, Martinez isn't a developed enough manager to not need to play Kevin De Bruyne in every single game that he plays. So I think De Bruyne got through, and obviously Foden, as well. That was really impressive.
I think we need to touch on Foden's performance. I think we talk about coming of age performances, and I get it was Iceland, but Iceland have been stubborn for many a team, right? And I thought Foden was magic yesterday. I mean, Rory, I don't know if you're a fan of Foden.
I am. I wasn't quite sure what his best position was. Look, he's obviously a very gifted football player, but it's very difficult to judge him because he doesn't seem to get enough game time at Man City and doesn't get the run of games where you can build up that level of consistency. But he was phenomenal yesterday. He's a perfect example, actually, of nurturing talent and not rushing them. Like, I've been aware of Phil. I feel like I've been aware of Phil Foden for about 5 years, but it's only now that he seems to be getting that chance. Whereas Jack Wilshere was really hurried, really rushed. And look how his career's gone. You're getting the best out of Foden. It's exciting.
I mean, as Kevin says on the comment, Kevin's a Liverpool fan. I was delighted Foden didn't play against us. Has that ability to unlock more sides. I was absolutely so glad that Pep didn't pick him against us, Booths. What did you think of the lineup the other week when we played each other?
I don't get it. He was fully fit. There was no injury concerns. He wasn't even playing many games previously. And obviously, I think he tore you guys apart. He obviously scored against you guys at the back end of last season when obviously you weren't really fighting for anything, but it's still a very, very good performance. The thing with Phil Foden is I think he could go one of two ways. If the England national team has developed in the way that the FA and England fans think it has in terms of all the youth structures of English football playing out from the back and having a philosophy as opposed to maybe a few decades ago where we didn't have that sort of united vision of how to play football, then Phil Foden stopped into this. I look at Joe Cole in 2006, 2004, when he was coming through. There wasn't really a position for him sometimes at England level and arguably at club level after. There's obviously a brilliant spell at Chelsea. Sometimes maverick players don't always fit in, and that's the issue. But I think Phil Foden, if he can settle down at Man City on the left side, where David Silva left, needs to be looked at as an Iniesta type player. And obviously Iniesta, you guarantee starts every single time at Barcelona on the left-hand side of a three. There's no reason why Phil Foden can't do that for England. It's just, are we ambitious enough to try and do that and try and have a two floating playmakers like Man City, Barcelona and Spain have had in the past?
You're probably talking about Grealish as the other playmaker?
Yeah, potentially.
Grealish and Foden?
I was there for the Iceland game when we lost in the Euros and how bad it was, and we didn't have any playmakers on the pitch. We were still relying on Wayne Rooney. Dele Alli, I don't think is a playmaker. I think it's hard to explain with Dele Alli. I don't see him as the same ilk as Grealish and Foden. I think Maddison's beyond them too. I think Grealish and Foden for me are way above Maddison's level in my opinion. Mason Mount, slightly different position, but he's a very balanced midfielder. He's a fantastic midfielder. But I think those two players, if they'd been in their prime at Euro 2016, that's ironically the game that would have got the players that would have got us through that game against Iceland. So it was ironic that last night it was against Iceland because they were fantastic, right? Really fantastic.
I love the way you put in Mason Mount in there to sort of trigger Rory and didn't put him on the same level as the other two.
No,
I think it's fair comment.
position, isn't he? He's not a playmaker in the same way as Phil Foden. They're a completely different skill set. I'd argue, obviously Rory knows more than me about that.
I'd argue with that first before I get to Rory, because Rory's definitely going to argue with you about that. I said Mason Mount can be developed into a playmaker, but I also agree with you that he's not right on the level of Jack Grealish yet. But we get Rory's views on that, obviously being a Chelsea man.
No, I think Lampard's done something very intelligent with Mason Mount, because Mason Mount is integral to the Frank Lampard blueprint. The way that Lampard wants to play the game, Mason Mount is integral to it. He's played. Nobody has played more games for Frank Lampard as a manager than Mason Mount.
Wow, is that fact?
He picks him all the time.
Amongst all those stars and internationals and everything, Mason Mount's played the most.
Picks him all the time. Had him at Derby. Really does embrace Mason Mount and makes him an integral part of what he's trying to achieve. So much so that at one point he was playing him out of position. He ended up playing him on the wing. That really didn't work. He's not a winger, but to accommodate him, he's dropped him deep into midfield, playing alongside Kante, and that's been where we've played our best football this season. But Kante and Mount together is brilliant. It's so tenacious, so many tackles, wins everything, so much energy. And then just in front of them, you've got Kai Havertz, a bit more silk, a bit more guile. And it's a real nice balance. And I think England could actually nick, if Southgate watches that Chelsea side, he could nick that blueprint, I think. You play Mount plus probably Henderson. Yeah. Mount plus Henderson with Grealish in front is good.
Yeah, but it's like Buvey said, about is he brave enough to do that? And is he the right man to lead this, what seems like a pool of talent coming through suddenly?
I think whether he is, do you know what, Grizz? To the stage now, Gareth Southgate, I've made my feelings perfectly clear on Southgate very regularly. But I'm actually I think it's time that me and people like me put a sock in it. Because whether you think Gareth Southgate is the right man to lead England into a tournament is actually neither here nor there now, because he is going to lead England into a tournament. So now is a time to pledge unilateral support and back Southgate to the hilt and get behind this team, because, mate, this is a young, exciting crop of players with a bit of luck, with the right management, with the right system, in front of a home support at Wembley a lot of the games. It can happen, but it's not going to happen if people like me keep sniping about it. So I'm done. I'm now Team Southgate.
Okay, now that's fair enough of you. I mean, normally we associate Buvey changing his mind. Buvey, what do you think Rory just said? Because that's surprising, because Rory was quite vocal.
I think Rory and I are completely on the same page about Southgate. We had a discussion about it on a previous show before. I think England are very, very good at wasting generational talents. Generations of talent with the likes of Sven and Roy Hodgson. I don't know. I look at Real Madrid sometimes, and obviously their fan base are very, very fickle, and they always get the white flags out when managers aren't doing very well. But their sheer ferocity of how they treat certain people, it demands a level of respect, a level of success. And I think being too romantic for Gareth Southgate, who, bottled big moments for England as a player, bottled one of the biggest moments of his managerial career he'll ever have as World Cup in the semi-final against Croatia, where I don't think he got that system right, even though we won 1-0 up. We were 60 minutes away from the World Cup final, which would have been, unbelievable. I think he's got to be held to account as one of the most important, roles in the country of the head of English football, essentially on the pitch. He's got to be held to account, and the Euros is a massive statement of where he is as a manager.
Yeah, but not now, Booth. Whether he should held to account after that, absolutely. But there's no point in holding him to account as we enter a tournament with this crop of players, is there? There's no point in me and you having a conversation, saying and casting shadow over what he's doing, and getting the people who are watching this video to potentially have the debate, potentially agree with us. We don't need a swathe of emotion going anti-Southgate as we build up to a tournament, do we?
Well, look, there are big moments in history, aren't there? And there's always time to analyse. I think if we go into the tournament against the Czech Republic and Scotland as the two sort of lesser teams in that group, no disrespect. And if we line up with five at the back, no creative midfielders, Jack Grealish wasn't even on the plane, then we are able the night before to criticise and say, we're not particularly happy about this. And I remember doing that for the semi-final against Croatia and thinking this lineup was a little bit too potentially negative, and some of the substitutions weren't right. So I think judgment. I mean, let's be real. We're not going to. Southgate's not going to be watching this video the night before the Euro 2021 tournament. I think it's our right to
you say that, but the way
on the day,
mate, this is Khanage.
Do you know what I mean?
And I imagine that Gareth Southgate is a subscriber.
Do you know what I mean? If he's not, he will be soon after seeing you two on here. But listen, I think even the viewers and listeners will say we've spent far too long on England and international. Everyone's pretty tired and fed up of it because of the nature of it in terms of putting it at such a busy season already, and then fitting 3 internationals in every break, which I think we've never done before. Usually it's always 2 internationals, right? And they've managed to squeeze an extra international and the extra workload on players like Kevin De Bruyne played, and he's been carrying a slight knock, hasn't he, Buvey? So, it's not ideal. I'm sure Chelsea have got loads of internationals. You've got like a 50-year-old centre-back, haven't you? That needs...
He's played a lot of football as well.
Do you know what I mean?
He's played too much football, but he seems fine. He's actually changed the season for us, Well, him and Mendy is what's changed the season.
We're brilliantly segued into it because this is what I call professionals. You're fucking professionals, you are, right? So we're going to segue into title talk, and this is why I got you lot. Of course, you're my best friends, but you're also my fiercest rivals, I believe, this season. City was always, we've done the preview shows. We've all chatted about me and us and City. Chelsea, we kind of writ off, I think, Boobs, at the start of the season. We were undecided because of their manager, because of maybe some of the caliber of signings. Where are you now, Ross? How are you feeling now? We're actually a quarter of the way into the season, I believe.
I think that Chelsea are now second favourites for the league.
Wow.
Second favourites. I still think that I still think Liverpool are going to take some beating. I know that it all feels like it's falling apart, but sometimes you become. When you've what do they call it? You become conditioned, don't you? Do you know how like people in London are conditioned that Pret's good when everyone knows it's rubbish, but for some reason we're just conditioned that we think it's good. I think that's what's happened to me with Liverpool. Over the past 3-4 years,
I used to have the same
played at such a level.
I used to have the same thing about Chelsea under Mourinho. I know what you mean. That aura, almost.
Yeah, I've become conditioned. Like I can't shake the fact that it doesn't matter what happens to Liverpool, aside from Klopp. But whatever else happens on the pitch, I am now conditioned to believe that Klopp has the answers, and therefore still put Liverpool, despite the horrific luck they've had of late, I'd still put Liverpool as title favourites.
Okay.
But I think Chelsea are more of a threat to Liverpool than Manchester City. Chelsea will finish first or second this season. That's a fact.
Boobs, I know you disagree. Off air, I just want to hear it on air now. Like, tell him. Like, I mean, I've got him in the conversation, but for him to say second favourites, what's your opinion on that?
Look, I think Rory's bang on with his sort of the confidence he's got in Chelsea at the moment. I think, Thiago Silva, Mendy, they're fantastic players, and they're going to get them in the top 4. That's a massive achievement for Lampard to stay in the top 4 and maybe try and do something in the FA Cup. But let's be real, Man City, Liverpool are cut above any side this season. People forget City started a week after everyone else because of the Champions League run-in. That's definitely delayed our sort of getting up to momentum. And we had opportunities to beat Liverpool. I thought we were the better side against Liverpool a couple of weeks ago. If we beat Spurs this weekend, I think we're getting even closer to being favourites. I think Liverpool are still head and shoulders above everyone else. If we beat Spurs comfortably this weekend, which is a big if, of course it is. Chelsea have the experience in that squad yet to win a Premier League, in my opinion. They've got some fantastic players. They've got a potentially decent manager.
He's come round to Frank Lampard, has he? That's the nicest thing you've ever said about him.
I've never denied he's got potential, but I had potential when I was under 12 footballer, and obviously I didn't turn into a footballer. Everyone's got potential. Lampard's been given way more remit because he's a legend of Chelsea, and if his CV was from the Dutch league, or the French league, he wouldn't be given an opportunity at such a massive club as Chelsea. So, the proof's in the pudding with Guardiola and Klopp. both guys have won nearly 50 trophies as managers in their career. That's where the proof is. Whoever finishes above City this season will win the Premier League. I'm 100% sure of that.
Well, I think it's fair to say, I think most of what you said about Lampard initially is quite fair in terms of is because he's a Chelsea legend. Very much like Ole at United. He's been given the leeway and the time and everything and the patience and the funding and the backing. Roman has backed him, and he's backed him to the tune of, Rory, what was it this summer? To the tune of...
I mean, I don't know the figure off the top of my head, but it's got to be a couple of hundred, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say about 200 million. But
remember, that's all off the back of the Hazard. Like, look, I don't find the financial chat, and I don't know enough about it, so it'd be disingenuous for me to start talking balance sheets. I don't know. I don't care. I like the game.
No, we're definitely not going to balance sheets on this show.
Just caveat, though, it is all the Hazard money. Like, I think we've only spent 10 million quid more than what we got for Hazard.
Look, fair play to you, because if you got it, you know, flaunt it, buy it, do what you want with it, right? It's your money, right? That's not a problem. We're not going to go into the financials on Khanage. No way. That's the last thing we do, right? Numbers on this show. What I was going to ask you is about these signings. Who stood out and who's not been quite what you expected? I know it's early. I know it's only 8 games in, but who stood out for you out the signings and thought he's better than I thought? And who's done the opposite?
Thiago Silva is the one that's done that. He is a cut above. You know, he is a phenomenal player. So assured. So it's also easy. You know what it's like with a good centre half. It's so easy. He scored the other day for us as well, and that was definitely my moment of the season so far. Something that he definitely deserved. He's come in and totally reshaped the team. We've obviously got to give less glamour, but got to give an honourable mention to your question here to Edouard Mendy. Totally reshaped our back line. You can see the difference in the way that the entire team play because they've got a keeper they trust. Well, so those two,
basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also, do you know what, Grizz? Again, I've kind of got to mention Hakim Ziyech. I know you asked for one, but Ziyech also deserves a mention. He's been phenomenal when he's played. He scored goals in both competitions, Champions League and Premier League. Dazzling talent, electrifying pace, so much skill. Again, there's another one. If I'm forced to pick one that hasn't quite lived up to the potential, look, not writing anyone off. Not writing anyone off. It's just he hasn't hit the ground running because he is a young player who has a lot to learn in a new country. I'm going to say Kai Havertz. Seen glimpses of silk, you know, little whispers of the brilliance that will come, that will undoubtedly come. But as of today, he would be the one that hasn't performed. You know, Chilwell has been brilliant. Ziyech has been brilliant. Silva's been brilliant. Mendy's been brilliant. Werner's been brilliant. Ziyech has been brilliant. The only one that hasn't been to that level would be Havertz, who's been good.
Yeah, no, that's fair comment, I think. That's fair comment. I think you've been fair in your assessment as well. I'd agree. Gilberto Silva is the man. You know, he's won it all. He's seen it all.
Gilberto Silva? You mean Thiago Silva?
Thiago Silva, yeah. Look, the main thing is the surname, right? So yeah, Gilberto, but he was a great player as well.
Very good player, Gilberto.
Yeah, absolutely underrated. We had a super chat from Waltzing Matilda. Thank you for the super chat. Who's got some news for you, Boobs? Apparently, Pepper's extended his. If anyone else in the comments can confirm that, he's extended his contract. Breaking news, live exclusive thoughts of Buvey on that.
It's not confirmed. Yeah, I've been on the
isn't it?
But I think it's one of those where it's 95%. I think 1 year makes sense for him and the club. I don't like as a fan. I'm not going to sit here and say I want him to do a 1 year deal. I don't think 1 year is nothing in football. I wanted at least 2 years. I don't know if it's a 1 year deal with an option to an extension, but it's kind of
doesn't solve any of the questions, does it? You know the questions that opposition fans like me will ask about Man City and Guardiola. The 1 year contract doesn't stop me asking the question, does it?
No, and I don't. The thing with Guardiola is where some managers, you know, let's say Ferguson in the mid-90s, the late 90s, he didn't he wanted to answer those questions for fans. I think he put pen to paper, he committed himself. Arsene Wenger the same. I think Guardiola is a very, very shrewd guy. I think he knows he's in the modern game where he can get massive salaries. He can move around quite easily. Clubs will bend to him. There's more money in the game. I don't think he cares. I think if he really was humble for the opportunity at City, he'd make moves towards the club to stay a lot longer. 1 year is a very sort of apprehensive kind of move, isn't it? It's, you take a hot girl out on a date, and then she kind of says, yeah, let's maybe do a second date. You don't want to hear that, do you? You want to know for sure there's going to be a second, third, or fourth date.
One day, Booth. One day it will happen.
I mean, I like to plan in ahead. I like to know at least that there's going to be 4 dates, 5 dates, then we can do it, and we can go from there. But look, it's better than nothing. I think Pochettino coming in is an idealistic fantasy for me. I'd love him to come in for 4 or 5 years. It's probably not going to happen. He's probably going to get snapped up in the next year. We're going to have to live with Guardiola and hope that he can really rebuild the squad, and we can get some exciting manager in, like a Luis Enrique potentially afterwards, to keep on the incredible momentum that we've had in the last 10 years.
Well, Owendon Podiepan, sorry if I've ruined your name. I usually do, man. Apologies. Manchester Evening News breaking the news, and the Times as well. Pep signs 1-year extension. I'm with Rory on this one in terms of it's as you were kind of thing, isn't it? The only thing it's kind of sort of says is he's there for another year. Like literally, I mean, rebuild. Is he going to be part of this rebuild? It doesn't. Would it fill you with confidence if you was a City fan, Rory? If your manager, after all this speculation and everything, and Chelsea and City do need a mini rebuild, right? We all agree with that, right? So, is Pep committing himself to this rebuild, or is he saying, no, I'm going to try win as whatever I can with this team, and if not, I'm out?
I don't know. I don't think a 1-year deal suggests that he's there well, it obviously doesn't suggest he's there for the long haul. I just don't quite understand why he doesn't commit. If he is intending on being there for the next 3 or 4 years, why not commit? I'm just surprised, really, that Manchester City are up for it. I can see what's in it for Pep. It's another year's security, another year's money. Well, I get it. But, if from a Man City fan or club owner perspective, that wouldn't be on offer from me. I'd want total commitment. Or, look, they're Man City. They can get any manager they want, virtually. So I don't see why they're being held to this by Guardiola. And whatever way you look at it, I know you can spin it in various different ways, but whatever way you look at Guardiola's tenure, even taking into account all of the success in the league, there is still a glaring error and a huge hole that's shaped like the European Cup. And until that's rectified, I don't even know if they should want him this badly.
Well, no, you can see why. No, I don't know about that personally. You can see why they'd want him. He's the top 2 or 3 coaches in the world. You'd want that. The only thing I could say about the 1-year extension could be they may have someone lined up who's not ready right now or is in a job and is giving them word booths. That could make sense, right?
Yeah, potentially. I think there's a lack of top managers out there. You look at Nagelsmann and Pochettino, the two that you always link to, and you think if Nagelsmann came to the Premier League, would he make an impact? He's not won a major trophy.
Do you know what I was thinking, Booth? So, do you remember the fellow a few years ago? It felt like due to be Bayern Munich man, but in that hands he flicked too good. Fellow that got Ajax, he should have got to the final. What was his name? The Ajax manager.
Yeah, the bald guy. No, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Hentag.
Yeah.
What's happened with him? Like he's still. I don't think it's quite as clear cut as there's only 2. And also, Grizz, going back to where you said, of course they want Guardiola. Guardiola is one of the best managers in the world. That's probably true, but it doesn't mean that it fits at every club. You could make a case for Mourinho being one of the best managers in the world, and I certainly wouldn't want him at Chelsea. Guardiola being one of the best managers in the world doesn't mean it's a perfect fit for City still.
The issue is that if you look at the club, the way the club plays at every level, from the women's academy to the men's academy, every level is trying to play Barcelona football. That's just the fact. I'm not trying to say Man City have got this kind of Johan Cruyff mentality in the 90s and the 80s. Obviously, we didn't, but the club certainly does now in terms of the higher ups. They want to turn it into Barcelona, the Barcelona of England. There's no question about that. And you look at some of the signings we've made in terms of the hierarchy of the club as well from Barcelona. So Guardiola staying as long as possible kind of makes sense. I think if you ask a Man United fan in 2013, would you give Ferguson 1 year deal? They bite your arm off for one more year.
Great point.
Guardiola's not at that level. There's no question. Rory's right. He needs to win another Champions League. He's won 2 at Barcelona and 2 of the best sort of wins in Champions League history in terms of how Barcelona played. But the Bayern Munich was poor. The semi-finals that he lost, all 3 semi-finals. The fact we haven't even been to 1 semi-finals means that he's actually getting worse in the Champions League. So he does need to rectify that. But if you look at
2 years, Rob Harris has just tweeted it's a 2-year contract.
2 years. That's fantastic. So basically, everything that we've discussed, we take back. Basically, thanks.
But still 2 years. I know it is a big difference, really, 1 to 2 years. But I want 3 or 4 years. I think it's going to take 3 or 4 years to really get a new spine in that team, get Phil Foden up to a level, get Bernardo Silva, Jesus, Diaz, all these young players. But 2 years is fantastic.
Fantastic.
I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. Look, I saw Stuart Pearce manage when I was 7 or 8, and we didn't score a goal at home in 13 games. I mean, we had Joey Barton in midfield. So
is that
I'm
a fact?
so lucky.
Is that actually a fact, Booth? 13 games.
It's one of the worst records in English football in terms of not being able to score at home. It was something like 13 games in a row at home without scoring, something like that, I think. But Darius Vassell up front, no wonder.
Look, before we continue with this great chat, I know it's awkward timing for a lot of our subscribers. A lot of them are saying they're on their lunch and we've fitted you in and everything. But I told you, these guys are very, very busy men, and I'm privileged to get them on at this time. So, but I will ask Rory to do his special, because Rory's got a special talent. He's a man of many talents, but Rory, this likes thing, yeah?
Yeah, we can do that.
Apparently it works. Apparently
how many people are currently watching the stream?
We've got about 200 at the moment, which is, for me, I'm humbled by that. I can't tell, Rory. I haven't got a clue, mate. Okay. But I know I could do with some more. Do you know what I mean?
If you could all we need to be able to quantify how we're doing. Okay, so we're 184 watching, and we're 72 likes. Okay, we're moving. Let's get to 100. Let's got to get to 100. We're not saying another word until we get to 100.
Yeah, because look, at the end of the day, it's not easy getting like the caliber of Boobs and Rorys onto this, right? I know it's lunchtime on a Thursday and many are busy and working, but I really appreciate the people already in here. I'm humbled by that number, man. It doesn't mean a lot to anyone else, but to me, it means the world. But we're going to continue.
We're rocketing.
Oh, that's name of the game. Yeah, go on, Chris Brack. Tell him only 75 likes. Fucking pitiful. But anyway, so look, Pep signed 2 years. That's like sort of a bit of a hammer blow for me, because I really thought he's going to leave. I really thought if Pep leaves, that gives us, from a Liverpool point of view,
102 degrees.
Oh, that's amazing.
Gas.
You're sensational. But Rory, Pep staying there, for me, cements their place at the top in terms of challenging for every single honour.
But I disagree. Of course, I don't disagree that they're going to challenge for every honour. But when I feel more comfortable with the Manchester City that they are
minus
today,
Pep.
No, because a new person coming in with that squad, with those resources, with fresh ideas, is more intimidating to me than the current setup with Pep Guardiola.
I get that, but it depends on who that is. Pep has created, and I'm going to sort of utilize about Pep now. Pep's created a style, like what Buvey said, throughout the club that is it's very difficult to take on for a new man. The playing style, the mentality, they're so one-dimensional in the way they play.
Grizz, if they got it right, it doesn't take a lot to get it right there, because it's a club that is set up for sheer domination. All the ingredients are in place for sheer domination.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And the fact that they don't have sheer domination is that buck has to pretty much stop with Guardiola. So if they were to replace Guardiola and get in the right person, of course it has to be the right person, but just say it was the equivalent of when Chelsea bought Mourinho in 2004. If they were to bring in that particular person, City become a far more intimidating proposition than they are today.
Yeah, it's tough. It's very, very tough. you look at Alex Ferguson as a great example, who had not only the keys to the castle in terms of one of the biggest clubs in the world, obviously a bigger club than Man City in terms of what it could do. He was there for 30 years, and he won 2 Champions Leagues in 30 years. It's very, very hard to win a European Cup. It's very, very. I think it's easier to just get to a final, and sometimes you just lose the final. Look at Chelsea. I mean, if it wasn't for arguably fortuitous circumstances against Bayern Munich, you didn't dominate a European Cup. It's very, very hard to win a European Cup, and obviously you've done well to win one. Chelsea and Liverpool recently. So, Pep's a very young manager. He started his career in 2007. So we're talking about a guy with 13, 14 years. As a manager, he's won 30 trophies. So he's got more than enough time to achieve what he wants to at the club. And if he's got 2 years, there's no reason why we can't win a Champions League in the next 2 years. We could win it this season if things click in the right way.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, man. But look, fair enough. Fair play to Chelsea City, man, securing them a 2-year deal. We're coming on to Liverpool now, guys. Liverpool, reigning champions, spot above this year in terms of injuries, right? Chelsea look like they're flying. City will definitely get a boost from this Pep news, 100%. It is what happens, right? Players get a boost. I just want your views on what you make of Liverpool's situation. And are you kind of sort of, are you feeling, is there a stage where you feel sorry for Liverpool at any stage? Go on, Roz, you go first.
No, I don't feel sorry for the current Premier League champions and previous Europe. No, there is the only place I do feel some sympathy would be the Van Dijk thing, because that wasn't a football. That was borderline assault. That didn't sit comfortably. The fact that it went unpunished also didn't sit comfortably. The handling of it from the powers that be. I think the guy who was meant to be doing the VAR, who was doing the VAR that day, was due to do your VAR again this weekend, which seems a bit ridiculous as well. So I feel like the Van Dijk one, I certainly do have sympathy, but mate, I haven't got time to have sympathy for millionaires who get injured. Every football club has injuries, and that's kind of the game, isn't it? It's a squad game, and it's about making the most of that.
No, that's fair enough. But would you say, Boobs, does it affect our challenge? Like, surely it does, right? You're in the boat of, sort of, in terms of, do City become favourites now? Let's try and be as sort of, fair as we can. Being involved in the title race. What do you think?
Look, you were obviously meant to be the best side in the history of football last season. You were meant to win every single trophy. You ended up winning 1 trophy and not getting over 100 points, which obviously was a massive failure in my estimation of how much Liverpool fans bigged up Liverpool. So if you're that good a side, you should be winning the Premier League this season without Van Dijk. City won the Premier League against you lot without De Bruyne. So you should be winning the Premier League. I think Fabinho is a world-class player. And I can't even say what position he is. I can't say he's a world-class midfielder. I think he could be a world-class defender, midfielder, whatever you want to call him. He's that good, I think. So I think with him in centre back, with Henderson in midfield, you could still win the Premier League. You should be able to win the Premier League. You've got the momentum. Look, if Van Dijk's affected, obviously touch wood that he isn't. If he's affected next season, that's where it might be different. But momentum is a very big thing in football. You should be able to win. You should be able to retain the Premier League with your current squad. There's no question about it. Some of the goals you score, the creativity you've got, the manager you've got. Yeah, you should be winning the Premier League, and that's why you're definitely favourites in my estimation. Still,
you still make us favourites? Yeah, I mean that's.
Cool.
I mean, I know how you operate. Some may not know how you operate on this, but I genuinely think that you've sort of overblown this claim from certain kids on social media that they were the best team ever. And that me and we never claimed to be that. We claim to be a very good team on the level of City and on the level of the great Chelsea teams. And it's always difficult to choose who was the best. Rory, I think you probably hate comparing teams of different eras, like the great Chelsea of Mourinho.
Yeah,
the Man City 100.
The one I always go for, which isn't what people expect. I always say that the Man United treble winners.
Yeah, no, I was going to mention them as
well. Which won't be especially popular on here. But I think winning look, mate, Chelsea won a double in 2010. And I still am amazed that we achieved that. When Manchester City did the treble of domestic trophies, outrageous, right? Incredible. Man United did it with a European Cup. And that team were fantastic as well. You know, Beckham, Giggs, Scholes. It was an amazing team. York and Cole up front. That to me is the best team ever. I know it didn't. I know the point tally wasn't especially impressive by today's standards, but it was by those standards. So
the thing is,
my take will always be them.
No, that's a fair assumption and that's a fair opinion because you can't argue against those trophies and the amount of trophies they won. But me and Buvey often talk about, well, Buvey more than me. He often throws the shout out about 198 points accumulated over 2 seasons. I think that's just so underrated. People just don't realize and understand what it takes to get that amount of points in 2 seasons.
Is irrelevant, mate. Who cares?
I don't.
No, but
but
it's the equivalent of, you know, when. But Booth, it's the equivalent. Do you remember when Tottenham fans and the media, in fact, used to play into this? When Tottenham would say that over the 2 years, the year that Leicester won the league and the year that Chelsea won the league, over those 2 years, Tottenham accrued more points than the other two combined. I don't care.
Yeah, but those points are.
Why is that relevant?
I'm not just talking about points. Some people say, "Oh, we finished above Man United for the last 7 years." Doesn't mean we've won the league every year. But those 198 points were winning points for Premier League titles, for 2 Premier League titles. It's an unbelievable achievement. It'll go down as it's one of the best sporting achievements in the history of British sport. There's no question about it. And we broke all sorts of records in that first season to get to 100 points. You know, if you condense the league down into old league metrics, we've got some of the highest point total ever seen in history of English football. And the way we did it, the football. And here's the reality: we're talking about Guardiola's New Deal. I've not seen Guardiola football as good as that since that season. It has gone downhill. That standard, the pressing, the fight, the hunger, the control, the possession, and ironically, that's
what year was that, Booth? What year are you talking about for the best?
17-18, I think, is the single best year of football for a Premier League champion ever. What Man United did in Europe, what Chelsea have done.
What did you win that year?
We won the League Cup and the Premier League.
So you did a double, not the double.
Yeah.
You did a double
and then a domestic treble.
Yeah, it's huge. It is huge, mate.
No, I'm gonna say, look, I'm gonna agree with him on that. In my opinion, I think that's the single most impressive in terms of football and domination and everything. 100 points, but then because like a lot of people are saying, how is Grizz and Buvey joining up here? Like it's like, you know, Buvey and Grizz teaming up like Batman and Superman. Well, I'm going to sort of end that opinion and sort of thought, because I think they've since then, I mean, that was the peak of your team. I really think you bottled it since then. I think you are in sort of on a downward spiral now. And I do think Chelsea will be our closest rivals in terms of both of you. I mean, I still think we're going to win it. And I also think if we win it in the circumstances that we do this year, I think it's fair to say we are very much in the conversation in those elite teams. We're already in the conversation, but I can't say that we're better than the Chelsea team that Mourinho managed or the City team Pep managed and the Invincibles. Not forget the Invincibles. We're not going to mention them. Sorry about that, lads. Forget the Invincibles. We know that they weren't all that. We're already in the conversation, but I think if we win the league this year, with everything that's gone against us, and I've just shown you a caption. Someone's put out the players that are missing. You was out with De Bruyne and Laporte, Booths. We've got Mendy. 7, 8. Oh, he doesn't count. He's a social media influencer. He's not a footballer. Come on, I know that. No, come on. He wasn't, Booths. You know he wasn't that good.
At the start of that season, he was a World Cup winning left back.
But look, moving swiftly on, right? I think we're just favourites. Chelsea have definitely come up, in my opinion. I think they'll run. I think it's going to be a fantastic race, lads. I really think it's going to give us amazing content. That's the main thing what we're looking at, right? It's going to be so close because last season was boring, right? Liverpool was so fucking good, right? It was boring. This year, it's going to be real good. It's going to be exciting. Quick prediction for the weekend before we go, because I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend of football. Chelsea have got Newcastle away. Roz, what are you saying, mate?
Terrible record at that stadium, but without the fans, I think we'll be fine. We win that game. Chelsea 3-0.
You're that confident, yeah? I thought that's a bit of a banana skin there. But
that'll be fine.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Booths, you've got...
I think Newcastle could get a win there, 1-0 Newcastle.
No, I'm not laughing because some of his random ones do come off, like one in a blue moon. Pardon the pun. Go on, Boobs. What's your prediction for your team, City, on the weekend? You've got
Spurs. Yeah, I think
massive game.
I think Spurs have looked so impressive. I think they're more favourites for the Premier League title than Chelsea are. There's no question, in my opinion. But look, if we can beat Spurs on Saturday, I think we'll beat them 2-1. I think it'll be a gritty performance, but I think we'll get over it. I think we've got better players than them. I think we've got a better manager than them. We play football in the right way. If we do it in our way, in the right way, it sets us up amazingly well for the rest of the season. So I think we're going to win 2-1.
It's not quite the old Pep versus Guardiola, is it? It hasn't got the same.
It's closer than it was United. I think that Spurs side looks like Porto, it looks like Chelsea, it looks like Inter Milan way more than Man United. And I think that there could be a lot of, because Spurs and City have got a lot of history in the last 5 years in terms of big games. Obviously, the Champions League crouch header to get in the Champions League, the Champions League quarterfinals.
Bit of history there. We've got Leicester, the pretender, Brendan Rodgers in charge, doing very well, flying, confident. They think they're going to beat us. Very similar to where we went there last year, with loads of injuries and coming back from the World Club Cup, and people thought Leicester were favourites. We turned them over. I think we're going to have still a good enough team to beat them. Quick prediction. I think we're going to win 3-1. Quick prediction from you, Ross?
I think it could be a tricky one, actually. I think this could be a draw. 2-2.
That's usually my listeners and viewers will know that's my go-to score. But yeah, go on, Booths. Liverpool, Leicester.
Same as Rory, to be fair. Yeah, same as Rory.
Yeah, you think we're going to drop points? Of course you do. But we had to end on something like that. That's brilliant. Lads, we're going to have to call it a day or afternoon or whatever. It's been fantastic, man. You've really made me fly through this. I think I was nervous for this one because I haven't hosted you lot before. I haven't hosted. But I'm just going to thank you so much for coming on. Ross, what you got coming up from your channel and what you want the viewers and listeners to do from what we can do for you?
Oh, mate, that's very kind. Yeah, just come and subscribe. I call Rory Jennings the channel. In fact, I'll leave a comment right now so that you can find it if you want to. But yeah, come over and subscribe. Lots of good stuff going on.
Excellent. Wicked. Boovs?
Yeah, likewise. I'm not as prolific as Rory, but I try and get some City content out there. But I'll probably be doing a Guardiola reaction video sometime today, just talking about that, because it's quite a seismic announcement from Guardiola, which is quite cool.
Excellent. Guys, once again, all the listeners and viewers in here, I know it was an awkward time and everything. I know we're evening people, but still, 230 people, that's all right for me. I'm happy. We're growing thanks to these guys. Thank you for everyone for listening. And until next episode of Khanage, peace out.